everyone, I'm Mishka and welcome back to my channel. Oh my god, it felt so good to say that again. Oh my gosh. So, hi everyone. It has been a very long time since I have made another video. And I'm not even gonna explain why, because you guys already know it. Either I'm busy or I was injured and this and that and all that. But I am so glad to be back, and I promise I'm going to try my best to stick to the schedule. My plan is to pre-record on the weekend and then upload them whenever I can. But just know that if I don't, it's probably because I didn't have a chance, and that I will get to it very soon. So if we see that I don't upload on Wednesday, let's just assume that I'm going to upload the next day or on Friday, and then Friday's video will be a Sunday video. Pretty simple. That's how it's going to work. But yeah, let's just get into this. I do not want to wait anymore. I cannot wait to see what the end of Derek's epilogue or DLC. I have no clue. I don't remember what this is. It's probably like the epilogue or DLC. Oh wait, no, it is DLC. What am I talking about? Okay, never mind. But yeah, but before we get started, make sure to subscribe and share this video with your friends so they can find out about my amazing channel just like you have right now. So yeah, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy. Derek saving Derek saying the day was perfect made it so for you too. After a lifetime of compromises and sacrifices, you were proud to see him get exactly what he wanted. And it was more than a little thrilling that a significant part of what he wanted was you. Aww. Derek Day should be a national holiday. I'm so glad we got to do this. Yeah. Oh, he's blushing. His voice was gentle and his gaze soft with affection. Aww. What? But as Derek came nearer to you, the warmth shot up to sultry. With a single spark, it would burst. Oh, wait, can y'all hear my TV? Oh my god. I'm so sorry. Wait, I forgot to turn. Sorry, y'all. I had my TV on and then my father came in my room. Okay. You're a great girlfriend, I hope you know. You couldn't look away from his fixed gaze, but incredibly aware of his fingers trailing down your arm. Liz had been so certain none of the Suarez men could woo anyone. She would have had to eat those words if she ever saw Derek truly put his mind to it. Oh, oh my god. Are you certain it's perfect? There's nothing else that'd be good? It was only fair to flirt back a little with how strong he was coming on, yet the reply made his lips squirt. He doubted his ears and nearly lost his composure. What he didn't do was quit. He didn't tell himself or you he was wrong or there was a mistake either. Instead, Derek held up his coy smile with the confidence he managed to store away for emergencies and indulge in further romantic pursuits. Honestly, right now, all I really want is to be in love with you. Why did this start at the beginning of the episode? Oh my gosh. Once again, he closed in on you, this time until you were near enough that your nose is almost touched. It's pretty convenient we've got the place to ourselves for a minute, huh? Derek! Oh my god, bro. This man. We better make the most of it while we can. Very convenient. Derek had played it very cool, but in that instant he lit right up a glow from head to toe. He threaded his fingers through yours and gripped tight. The hand was steady and hot. There wasn't a trace of pre-game jitters, only excitement. Okay, but before anything else, maybe I should wipe this shooting star off my face. You snorted a laugh like you were your mom. That was not exactly a romantic thing to bring up now. However, it was fittingly practical and Derek-esque Esky? How do you say that? You nod. It was fun while it lasted, but it had to go. I take it you're not keeping the shooting star. That's right. It's only fair if you get it if you're giving up your star. Let's do it. I'll meet you back so fast you won't even miss me. He bolted from the living room, counting on you to follow. You did. Derek went to the master bathroom and you the guest one. You twisted the sink on and assaulted the shooting star with hot water and a pale yellow hand towel until it erased from existence. You wiped down the area as best you could, then threw the towel aside. With the job done, you hastily returned to the living room. Derek came up right behind you. Oh my god. Upon reaching you, he bent over, leaning against his knees and settled his heavy breathing. His cheek was rubbed raw, though you wouldn't notice the tautness of the skin and slightly redness unless you were searching for it. Then Derek bounded back up, seeming as upbeat and unflappable as ever. Now, as we were... It was such a dramatic and complete recovery, you had to wonder if it was a trained skill. There might have been many days where Derek frantically put out fires in his own fluster before presenting himself before you with a big smile. You never stopped finding reasons to fall for him. Oh! He slipped both his hands under yours, wrapping you up in him. You were absolutely ready to pounce on the man. What? Sliding a hand down to the bottom of your spine, Derek kept you steady as he led both of you onto the edge of his couch. What? He sat comfortably on the cushion and you were straddling his lap. Neither of you had any plans of untangling from each other. The position on your knees gave an unusual vantage point. You were the one looking down on him for once in your life. Oh my god. I forgot she's short. Derek glanced up at you through lidded eyes. A coy smile played about his face. He might have jokingly protested others eclipsing his height in the past, but he definitely wasn't complaining about the current arrangement. It suited him exactly right. After you were would I go first. Oh my god, just freaking do it, bro. Your eager fingers grasped at his shirt. Your body felt like 1,000,000 degrees. He was polite even then and it was killing you. Isn't getting on top of you already a first move, you joked? Whoa, you got me there. That was without a doubt a move. Then allow me. He cradled your head with one hand, still keeping the other on your lower back. You moved with him, easing lower until your faces could meet. He kissed you, tentative but lingering. He was making sure it was right, that it was real. Aww. You were smiling at each other when it ended. There was no mistake here. Only two people whose once sung the same song. You managed to get around the folds of Derek's thick sleeveless hoodie, but before you even grazed the body underneath, Derek was leaning away. You butthole. I'm sorry, but are you alright? No, wait, yes? Forget it. I'm sorry. It's all good. I was just thinking I could help you with that if you want. He took hold of his own signature red top and lifted it enough to expose a thin line of skin. He stopped there to check your expression. Oh. You're so considerate. Thank you, in person. You know me. I love to assist. Bro. Derek tugged at the fabric, pulling it over his head before lobbing his shirt past you onto the floor. What has this come to? There we go. Derek rested against the back of the couch, totally satisfied and leaving his front fully exposed. He held no shyness going shirtless in front of you. In fact, you were positive he'd been aching for a chance to do exactly that. It would have been improper to draw attention to himself at the public water park. This was his comeback. As you were. Oh no. Oh my gosh. Not yet. You said grabbing your dress. He got the picture immediately. Words were not an option in the moment, so he defaulted to a thumbs up. Bro! So cringy. You twisted and shimmied in Derek's lap in your effort to undress. But you managed to slip out of the dress and dropped it to the ground. Derek remained speechless. Now that's everything. You resumed the original plan and freely explored Derek's abs and pecs and everything else he had put out on a silver platter for you. Meanwhile, Derek's focus had zeroed in on your own chest. He wasn't forcing his eyes away like when you wore a swimsuit. Ogling was allowed, and Derek learned there were even better possibilities out there than getting to show himself off. Damn, this is Derek's day. Oh! No, you kissed again. Once again, your mouth locked around his. Derek tilted himself towards your touch, kissing you in return. He squeezed your thigh. You raked your hands through his short hair. Regardless of how spiky it always looked, his strands were nothing but silky soft against your fingers. The intensity deepened. You pressed and pulled your lips against each other in a much longer, much more longing kiss. You gasped for breath when you and him finally broke apart. Derek could only speak in a hoarse whisper. Oh my god. You're really great. You chuckled against his skin. Derek's vocabulary for praise rarely extended past words he could say to any guy, gal, or pal. But it was only with you, and his voice was so heart-achingly adoring. You complimented him. Nobody makes me happier than you. You pressed a hand to his firm chest as he spoke to express your feelings with more than words. You mean it? His reply had the exact amount of aw shucks bashful disbelief it would have if you said randomly while chilling at the park, despite the fact that you were actually making out in his apartment. Derek really decided to pause while getting hot and heavy to think, wow, May likes me, that's amazing. It was extremely cute. You trailed light pecks down his neck and shoulder. Playfully, you trailed tiny kisses down his neck and continued all the way to the end of his broad shoulder. You had plenty of real estate available to you after all. Derek enjoyed your indulgence as much as you did, even more a little too much. You were both so distracted, neither of you realized what was coming when he dropped his head in a happy sigh until his chin squished you into his shoulder blade. Oof. I'm sorry! He snapped right back up, but still pulled you off of him to check your state. Are you okay? You lovingly bit into his neck for that. Ah! He yelped as soon as your teeth took hold of the sensitive area. You win, or it's even now? Good.
Are you sure?
So you're really alright? Yes, I really mean it. Derek squeezed you tight into a hug, careful with where his face went, and laughed wholeheartedly. You embraced him in return, overflowing with affection for your excessively considerate boyfriend. He took a few deep breaths and calmed down. That was the biggest thrill you'd had, and you weren't sure when, and you just gone to an amusement park earlier that day. You needed to relax. Finally, I was waiting for this moment. Oh my gosh. Oh. And not where they calm down. I meant like a making out scene. Oh my god. That's giving me flashback to Cove, bro. Aiming for more of a sit over a straddle, you slid your legs over to the side and twisted on your butt. Derek kept his arms in place around you, which stopped you from falling as you got situated. Thanks. Flushed and content, you rested your cheek against Derek's chest. He was solid muscle from head to toe, but it wasn't an uncomfortable support in the least. Quite the opposite.
You're welcome.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Derek traced his fingers down the length of your spine. His burning touch had changed to a smoothing balm. You welcomed it, snuggling closer. For once, Derek didn't attempt to move right into a new conversation. His hands were full going up and down your back. That was okay with you. In the dreaming haze, you gladly listened to only the sound of his heart and slow breaths. And then the doorbell rang. Ah! Derek blinked wide, blurry eyes. That was definitely the door's buzzer, but you could have fooled him into thinking it was an alarm clock waking him from a fantasy. Man, it's been what, 5 minutes since we were preparing, and I already lost track of the party thing and that we were expecting guests. Well, this time I can forgive myself for the slip up. That was a hell of a distraction. Boo, don't whoever they realize they're interrupting people. Derek let out a bark of laughter, throwing his head back before promptly burying his face against you. He mumbled through a grin into the nape of your neck. Each word had his lips drag against your skin. Is it too late to cancel? Even though he was joking, it was still tempting for both of you, but it couldn't be done. Mustering his years of experience being the responsible one, Derek hafted you and him onto your feet. It was time to go. You hunted down your abandoned clothes and put them back on. Mercifully, they still looked presentable enough despite what you'd done to them. With a refreshed pep in your steps, you and Derek approached the entryway. But the expectant smile that had been on Derek's face evened out into a bemused line. His brain was working, and then his mouth dropped open in a terrible realization. Wait. Didn't I invite them over for dinner? We don't have time to make food. We could set out snacks, but what kind of dinner party is that? I said that so we'd have as much time as possible at the park. I wasn't considering that we meant we'd actually need a dinner. Shoot, we don't even have enough food in the house for how many people are coming. We can make this work. Yeah, exactly, it's fine. I've got an idea. We're gonna get takeout. How about pizza? And the other stuff, places like that have salads, wings, and so on. I'd have that. Cool. He held a satisfied thumbs up. Now we better actually answer the door. He stuck a finger forward in demonstration of where he was headed and strolled over. Derek swung open the door as upbeat and unflappable as ever. You wouldn't have ever known he was the same man who invited two families over for a dinner party with no plans of preparing a dinner. Hey, good to see you. Thank you. The whole Suarez family was there, crowding the narrow space with a smile on their faces. Your own family member did not have the same kind of chair. Her lips were curved. They were here first. You took so long answering, I found them standing around waiting. Sorry about that. Liz, do not. Yeah, what was that about? George! Well, a deep red over his cheeks that had nothing to do with the face paint he had removed earlier revealed Derek's thoughts plainly on his face. May and I were just going over the game plan. Oh, what is the plan? We're gonna get pizza, my treat. Woo! Thank you, my wonderful son. That's very thoughtful of you. Works for me. Derek's last-minute solution had gotten full of remarks, speaking to the self-satisfaction of a man who winged the final exam and still passed. Derek pretended this had gone as he had intended all along. I thought you might feel that way about it. Let's not order until everyone is here. May says Mrs. and Mrs. Taylor and Mr. Holden are gonna show up soon. I forgot. Oh my god, we can see them. Oh my god. Murmurs of understanding circulated as the group filed into the apartment. Derek took on the role of host with vigor and encouraged his guests to get comfortable. They accepted the hospitality and seats were taken all around. How was the boardwalk? Mr. Suarez spoke entirely casual when he mentioned the unmentioned. No reason to wait for it to be said directly when it was literally written all over his son's face. Yeah, how was it? Nicholas's repetition was far more exaggerated. There wasn't anything pouty about it, as there would have been only a few years ago, but he needed to make his presence known on the topic. What am I? You couldn't be allowed to forget that you went to the boardwalk, and he did not. We had a great time and talked about some very important things. That is wonderful. Good for you. Nicholas shrugged. He'd matured enough to not demand inclusion in every activity Derek or George did, even though he still wanted to. Soon another sharp ring in the doorbell came. You and your sister perked up the most at that sound. It had to be your parents. Liz disregarded the fact that this was not her apartment and headed straight over to answer the door. You headed that way with her. Ah, it's them! Oh my gosh, we have not seen them in so long. Wow. Liz tugged the handle, and there on the other side were the soft faces of your sweet mothers and the more sharply featured but no less kind Mr. Holden. Period! Many hellos and good to sees were said in succession as the Taylor family joined with the Suarez clan in Derek's living room. It is a real party now. Not yet, there's still one thing missing. Let's talk about toppings. Derek took a page out of his mother's book and offered an explanation to the newcomers who had to have wondered. We're getting pizza if that's cool with you. Yum. That is fine, sweetie. No complaints here. Perfect. With this side of a crowd, I say we should get 3 large pizzas. A friendly round of suggestions and debates over the most ideal topping splits commenced. More than one person wanted meat and veggie supreme. The Suarez parents both loved that one and it had grown on their sons as they grew. Most agreed that having at least a couple simple options made sense, and Derek declared that he'd get his favorite chicken barbecue since he was the one making the order and couldn't be stopped. No one else in the group had any intention of ruining that for Derek. It was incredible to see him decide on something purely for himself. That's how the plan of one full meat and veggie supreme pizza, a half cheese, half pepperoni pizza, and a pizza of chicken barbecue was determined. You left the last half up to the rest of the group. How about Alfredo for the last half? No objections surfaced, and you order something besides pizza. Oh, we can get some wings, bro. Okay, I want wings. Wait, can we get all of this? Okay, I want all this. You know we have that here, right? Don't be so practical. Restaurant lemonade isn't the same as grocery store lemonade. Oh, alright, I get it. And that was all. Liz teased you openly in front of all the parents for making good use of this being Derek's treat. And Nicholas, of all people, felt self-assured enough to joke about you being a spoiled youngest kid. That was hilarious coming from him, though the most impactful blow you got came from Derek himself when he gladly owned up to the idea that he'd spoil you when you wanted him to. Aww! And to top it all off, Nico and George were both emboldened by your special request. Each of the younger Suarez boys asked their big brother for a soda, root beer for George, and orange for Nicholas. Derek gladly accepted the request. Off to the side, Mr. Suarez stroked his beard as he mused to himself. Why does someone need more than one drink? Because it's a party and May is enjoying herself. That's true. Period. After it was all said and done, Derek made the call to the local pizza place. He had it arranged for delivery. He glanced over the attendees once he finished that task. We've got some time to kill. Can I get anyone a drink? That goes for you 3 already getting something too. You don't have to wait to hydrate. What a kind host. Some requests were made for water and seats were taken to settle in for the wait. You got comfortable on a couch yourself. Derek collected 2 armfuls of water bottles. He went around the room passing drinks out to each person, even those who didn't ask for one. It seemed staying refreshed was not an option after all. It was an order. You and the others near the coffee table got served first, then he went around the dining table to catch the ones hanging out there. He was busy in another section of the apartment. That's what you knew from the last time you'd caught sight of Derek from your position. That's why a jolt went through your entire body when a low voice tickled your ear. May. You creakily turned your rigid neck to a glimpse behind you. Derek was there, resting his arms across the top edge of the couch. He had swung back around you while you weren't looking. As you process the situation, Derek grinned cheerfully, unapologetic about the shock his move gave you. A soft thump thump could be heard in the air. It wasn't your heart, though it might have been. You guys on the other side of the couch, he was tapping his heels together. Should we tell people now? What? He didn't need to explain what that meant. You and Derek had one momentous event that no one had been made aware of yet, the move. Yeah, this is probably the best time to let them know. About what we just did? You could tell them. Yeah, you do got us. He turned to the crowd with every eye on him. Derek came right out with it. May and I realized things have been great the way they are and decided that she should move in here for keeps. We're gonna be roomies. The crowd gasped and went quiet, but not for lack of feeling. Emotion was palpable, bubbling inside a shell of self-restraint. The first to express the thoughts of the majority was Ma. You know we wouldn't want you to live your lives for our sakes, but I have to admit that I'm so glad you're going to be that close. Agree, there's no denying that this is exciting. Okay? Hey, we're practically neighbors again. That's good with me. Mrs. 𝐍𝐸𝐻 and Mr. 𝐍𝐸𝐻 shared similar sentiments as your parents, and so did their sons.
That's great.
It's a smart plan for you two, I think, and it's made a lot of other people happy. Hooray! Very nice. I don't mind having you around more. He doesn't mind. He was trying to act like a grown-up, but that gracious statement didn't do much to hide the thrill coming out of his every pore.
Yeah.
This is great, and there's so many things we weren't able to do on this trip, and now we'll be able to anytime. Nicholas played down his true feelings while George wore them openly. The oldest brother had to chuckle over the reversal. It was amazing and relieving to be welcomed home. You were more certain of your choice than ever. The wholesomeness of the moment wouldn't have been complete if it was only sweet. Liz cut in with a dose of snark that made the taste perfectly right.
Seriously?
Sheesh, after 10 years of no progress, you're going at light speed now. Well, we were just storing up all our momentum for the right time. Now we've got the means to move full speed ahead. Laughter and lighthearted conversation continued within the walls of that apartment. Everyone was ready to pitch in with the move and had suggestions to offer, and then everything was put on hold when for the third time the doorbell rang. Dinner's here! Nicholas made a beeline to the door, his two older brothers at his heels. They gathered all the spoils from the delivery driver, gave a polite thanks, and promptly closed the apartment up again. George and Nicholas peered into the semi-opaque lids to figure out which drink was theirs, and Derek successfully handed you the stuff you got for yourself. It was good the whole set of boys when considering all the additional items came stacked with the 3 pieces, most of which were for you. Nicholas, George, and Derek helped set aside your goods safely. The feast was laid out on the counter, savory and steamy, very cheesy. Derek stood between the guests and the meals to make a declaration. Alright, everyone, in my house, instead of the youngest going first, the oldest do. Ah, yes, respect our elders. How kind. I can't believe I'm considered an elder. How'd I get so old? Mom and Ma offer comfort and condolences. They've been members of that club for many a year. All the grown-ups filed through as a big group. At that point in their lives, determining who was truly the oldest of the old wasn't worth the trouble. When they picked over the cream of the crop, Liz made a clean sweep all on her own. You and Derek went together next, followed by George. Finally, Nicholas's turn came. His mouth was hooked in an amused bend. Being last was a novelty, and he took his sweet time picking out the slices he wanted. Why not? He wasn't holding anyone up. Eventually, Nicholas selected his dinner, and the chairs around the apartment were filled with the happy guests whose plates were equally full. It was a relief to see your and Derek's big announcement hadn't impacted anyone's appetite. Good food and pleasant conversation were enjoyed at Casa Derek. Nika went back to the boxes for seconds and thirds without needing anyone's permission. After eating, George moved from the table to chat with Liz away from the parents. Nicholas abandoned the last bites of his 5th pizza to scurry after his big brother. Derek stuck next to you as a rule, but there were cases when an exception was needed. Well, this is your party and Liz's, sort of. I won't hog you. You should get to see everyone who's here to see you. I'll be around. It was true. The 2 families had gathered for you and your sister on the final day of your trips. On your end, the event had turned into more of a welcome party than a farewell, but Liz was still leaving, and you didn't know for sure when you would be able to actually move. The time you had right now wasn't to be missed. Yeah, I will, thanks. Derek took a step back with a nod and a wave. He at least was someone you certainly see again soon. You checked in on your moms and Mr. Holden. Your parents remained at the dinner table, sipping on their water bottles and pretending to be nonchalant. They sent too many fervent glances between you and Liz to be convincing. Hello, sweetie. Hey, welcome over. What's happening? Hi, I just wanted to see how you were doing. We're great.
How sweet.
Well, we've been having a wonderful time. I know this trip was for you and Derek, but I am so grateful Pam and I could be here a little. Ma wrapped an arm around Mom with a light chuckle. Mom leaned into her head, gently into her wife, and they both beamed. Time together is more important than time apart. Every bit counts. Well said. I love you all. Us too, kiddo. Absolutely. Thanks. Mom brought you into the embrace along with Ma. Your parents held you tight for another minute before letting go. Like Derek before them, they didn't intend to monopolize you forever. You left them to their own amazing company and drifted back towards the front of the living room. You went to see Mr. and Mrs. 𝐍𝐸𝐸. Derek's parents were contentedly sitting together on the couch watching. The scene of their children and friends gathered together in one place was a rare joy. But when you approached, Mr. 𝐍𝐸𝐸 perked up from his peaceful reverie. He squished against the missus, patting the freed spot on the cushion. Mrs. 𝐍𝐸𝐸 had to physically support her husband in the invitation by catching his shoulder, otherwise he would have toppled right over her into her lap. She laughed over the dramatic infringement on her personal space. It's okay, I can stand. Oh, alright. No, let's sit next to him. You took the provided seat. After all the effort they took in order to make that available, you couldn't reject the hospitality. You popped down onto the pre-warmed cushion. Mrs. 𝐍𝐸𝐸 looked past the man draped over her, as if he was not currently attached at the hip, and made eye contact with you. I hope you've enjoyed your big city vacation, May. I definitely did. Glad to hear it. As the pleasantries faded off, the 𝐍𝐸𝐸 spouses shared a meaningful glance with each other. The weight of the occasion hadn't been forgotten. Well, while we've got you here, there's something I want to say. Did you know Gregorio, I don't know how to say that, and I met at a similar age as you and Derek, technically? That's true. Ooh. Mrs. 𝐍𝐸𝐸 patted her husband's leg unconsciously while the gleam of a storyteller sparkled in her eyes. We attended the same high school at 14 or so, though we never landed on the other's radar until senior year. He and I shared a class here and there. We did not run the same social circles or have similar extracurricular pursuits. I almost missed her. Can you believe that? I cannot. What would I have done with my life then? Sometimes I wonder, perhaps you'd be living in a mansion somewhere in the hills. Is that so? That is a worse fate than I feared. The longtime couple tittered and smiled rosily over one another. Meanwhile, you leaned in closer, ears perked. The topic intrigued you. How had Derek's parents come together? You didn't interrupt in order to ask. You knew with certain certainty that Mrs. 𝐍𝐸𝐸𝐸 would explain without prompting, and she did. You see, May, Mr. 𝐍𝐸𝐸𝐸 is a well-meaning man, but when he gets a lot of compliments, he believes them. There's no end to how big his head can get. Derek may have mentioned this to you, but Rio, as he was called in the glory days, was on the football team. The words football team were said with mocking exaggeration, as though she could stop the explanation there. It was obvious where that was going. He and all his footballer buddies had quite the egos and were such a clique. One completely random day in the cafeteria, him and his boys were acting like the gods on earth they thought they were. They talked big and it was all crap. I spent my life tuning the whole setup, but at that time I must have been sitting closer to the noise than normal or in an unusually petty mood. Whatever the reason, I began to gab with my own friends, intentionally loud enough to be overheard. I said with exaggerated, wide-eyed innocence how strange it was that the jocks acted as if they were the greatest men alive. How did they come to such a conclusion when they seemingly never spoken to a single person outside of their team? What do they know about who's better than anyone else? Folding her arms and bouncing her shoulders, Mrs. Suarez still felt satisfaction over that one decade later. The team noticed me then, mostly to give me the stink eye, except for one who I could only describe as befuddled. I continued on, pretending I had no idea what was happening at the next table over. We were having plenty of fun on our side of the crowd until all my friends went dead silent, then got me to check again. One of the footballers had come over. He was built like a broad brick, though his face was anything but hardened. Too goofy and almost boyish for that. It was Rio, the linebacker, of course. He leaned over the table and said in his low, somehow booming voice, "What do you think of me? Am I not great to you?" He really said that. Irene and you were suddenly peers, sharing a fluster over the brashness of some strange football man. You snuck a glance at the star of that scene. He was playing as naive as Mrs. Suarez had all those years ago, listening quietly and twiddling his thumbs. Yes, I couldn't believe it. I wasn't expecting any of them to actually care about my opinion. The obvious thought would be that he was trying to intimidate me, make me take it back, but he asked with so much earnestness I didn't even consider that possibility. I shouted instantly that I don't like you, I don't know you, but I couldn't say I wouldn't like a man simply because he was on the football team. That's pathetic. Ping-ponging from shock to indignance, the outpouring of emotions reached its peak. Irene could be worked up no longer. She wasn't really a young lady recounting this for the first time. She knew the end of the tale, and despite being grown, it still put a schoolgirl smile on her face. While Mr. Suarez here had such a frown when he heard that, truthfully, Derek looks the same way when he feels rejected, so you likely understand the position I was in. Someone so bright and bold with a face like that isn't right. It's as if all the joy in the entire world had vanished. That was too much. I looked him square in the face and said I wouldn't give him the time of day for that, but I might be willing to get to know him sometime because he was decently handsome. Of course, that soothed Rio's delicate soul, and he said, then we should do that. We are people who should know each other. When he grinned down at me, I knew this was more than I bargained for. I'd better prepare. If he didn't forget about me, I wasn't sure I'd ever had it in me to give up on him. But so far, it's never come to that, and it never will. Rio had been quiet the whole story. He simply needed to burst in at the end. I cannot remember seeing Irene before that day in the lunchroom, yet as soon as I did see her, I knew I wanted her to think well of me. If she didn't, I must have been doing wrong. I'm thankful you still approve of me still. Even though I sneak our sons extra treats and cheat with their video games, I can't be a bad man if Irene can look past it. Mr. Suarez, what? Hello? Mr. Suarez hooked a hand around his wife's. You'd bet the grin he had in that moment was the same one Irene had originally fallen for. That's right, you are a good man. No buts or qualifiers went along with the praise. She wholeheartedly expressed approval of her husband. You could see it go straight to Mr. Suarez's ego. Irene didn't take it away from him. The sweethearts were completely enamored and absorbed with one another. Yet Mrs. Suarez managed to pull her focus off of the stud of her heart to address you again and had to be serious. Thank you for listening to my self-indulged story. What I really wanted to tell you is that I'm relieved Derek found someone who appreciated him for who he is. The weight of his words fell over you. She knew what happened with Derek, and she knew that you were with him regardless of what happened with his career I can't say that. As his mother, it meant a great deal to her. Welcome to the family, May. Honestly, I'm moving here for more than just my own family. I want to be near the whole 𝐍𝐸 family too. We are flattered. Yes, we are. Hand in hand, the two wonderful people who raised your amazing friends smiled over you. You got to enjoy a little more quality time with Mr. and Mrs. 𝐍𝐸. Eventually, they requested a moment with their eldest child, likely to share the same sentimental matters with him. That wasn't something you stand in the way of. It made room for the two to go have a special parent-to-child chat. You joined up with Liz, George, and Nico. George, Nicholas, and Liz were gathered in a corner in the room, fully engrossed in conversation. George's hand batted in the air between the group as Nicholas jerked a finger about. Hey, what are you talking about over here? You were welcomed by the circle with friendly smiles. George folded his arms and switched from one explanation to another. Nicholas was giving something to the effect of a recap to Liz. While talking about the trip, we realized she'd yet to hear about our new interesting acquaintance, so she was being filled in. Apparently, the ex-Xavier person running some bakery used to paint faces at the boardwalk. Small world, There's no end to the odd connections you end up making with people. Yeah, we were getting philosophical. Oh my god. Philosophical. I cannot say words today. Yeah, it's almost as weird as meeting the dancer kid again. Who? Baxter. Me and Derek met him once at a summer soiree. Then 5 years later, he rented a condo on the same street as me and recognized me. Remember Baxter, Liz? The monochrome man? Yes, that was him. The younger boys stared blank-faced, no more confident in their understanding than they were a minute ago. Your sister was satisfied, snickering into her palm. Besides all that, I have to say I'm surprised Nicholas was the one who reconnected with Xavier. Wouldn't he struggle to recognize them? Oh my god. You know, considering the fact that he was asleep the entire day. I fell asleep after I got my face painted, thanks. And I've been to that boardwalk more than once. I didn't conk out every time. Try a better tease. The dare was meant for Liz, which that's what he had rated himself for and why he spoke with boldness. Alright. Unfortunately for Nicholas, however, it was George who took on the challenge. Speaking plainly with a mischievous twinkle deep in his eyes, you knew it wasn't gonna go well for his little brother. The only reason Xavier was able to recognize you out of any of us is because you're still a little kid, just taller. How's that? Nico pouted. The round, he had no comeback. However, he did have a new strategy. Nicholas looked to you, his only potential ally, and pleaded like the child he insisted he wasn't. The irony wasn't lost on Nico, and he intentionally played to that. May, these two meanies are ganging up on me. None of you should change. You're perfect to me. Right, I'm perfect. May says so. But so are we. And we were teasing you. Is that perfect too? Some people are more perfect than others. You, Liz, and George, and Nicholas could laugh together and continue to chat on the mysteries of life. None of them said this was goodbye, but when the evening wore on and you needed to move away from the sibling group, the see you shared between you meant more than usual. You had worked the room, made your rounds, and had a few minutes to yourself. You used it to think and reflect. There was a lot to consider. Life was barreling forward for you. Unfortunately, no inner peace or full understanding of the universe came while you zoned out in a corner. Perhaps as a consolation, you were rewarded with Derek returning to you after finishing his talk with Mr. and Mrs. 𝐍𝐸, and he had an idea. Hey, wanna go out to the balcony and get some fresh air? Same as he did when he first parted ways with you, Derek pointedly left the most crucial part of his motivation unsaid. This might be the last time you had a chance to be alone together before you had to go. That sounds nice, Derek. Cool. You quietly went to the sliding glass panels at one end of the living room. But progress halted. Arms folded, Derek stared at the closed door as an impassable wall. Aren't you gonna get that from me? You strangled a laugh. That was something you should have seen coming. It was what you wanted. Of course, Derek would end up letting you have it. You accepted the baton in the form of a door handle and opened it. After you. Why, thanks, May. Oh my god, I remember that. Derek passed on by with his head held high. You followed right after. The event was still alive with small pockets of conversation. You and Derek managed to slip away without notice. As soon as you walked out, a warm evening breeze caressed your body. It carried the sharp scent of the ocean and the delicate perfume of the flowers who made their own home at Derek's place. Derek ignored the one lonely chair on the veranda and rested up against the rail, exactly as he did the first time. On the horizon, the sea gleamed like molten gold, encasing a city of silver. You leaned against the railing too. In that moment, it felt right. The seemingly endless expanse in front of you, with nothing more than a few thin bars between you and it, was a welcome sight. With you both settled in, Derek grinned as if it was any other day, or rather because he couldn't help smiling at you no matter the circumstances. May, I owe you an apology, or at least an explanation. No, both. You blinked. If there was one thing you could count on, it was that Derek swears wouldn't do you wrong. Not intentionally anyway. Huh? About what? Well, that's obvious. I had asked you to marry me in a way, and I almost didn't realize this was the year it was supposed to happen. How inconsiderate can I get? What? That outburst sapped him of all energy. Derek's shoulders slumped, and his tone dropped even lower. We've been apart for a long time. Looks like I was in denial about how long. Days, weeks, months, and years just went by before I even knew it. It couldn't be the deadline already, I thought. No way. Especially with how not grown up I felt and how non-figured out everything was. But it was true. The summer when we were 23 was the year I picked. Is it good or bad timing that this marriage pact plan coincided with my career crisis? I don't know. The rhetorical question lingered, then a bit of humor returned to Derek's darkened features. Actually, I do. It is for the best that it all happened now. We could work out the whole mess. We could work the whole mess out in one. Though, that was also part of why I lost sight of things. I don't want you to think it meant nothing because of that. It's not that it didn't matter to me. It mattered so much I couldn't even face it. I had to run away. Derek almost cracked from the self-imposed pressure. His voice did break. Asking you to marry me if there was nobody else wasn't one of those wild, impulsive stunts I pull sometimes. I really thought through it. As in, I thought through all the ways I could maybe be with you without daring to just ask you to be with me. I hinged a lot of hopes on that plan, but it was wishful thinking to see it as a solution. It doesn't work that way. His gaze parted from yours. He had nothing in particular to take his attention, so Derek was simply staring straight ahead. The future is looking bright, May. I love this city and my family, but honestly, it was really missing something. Coming back to Prism Vista, knowing you were already gone, was a blow. That's pushed up now. I'm so pumped you're going to be moving in. I feel like I can get off a treadmill for the first time in over a decade and go somewhere, possibly on a walk with my girlfriend. It thrilled you to see Derek bursting with real optimism. Not simply wanting and hoping that it would be okay in the face of fears, but having certainty that it would be good. You'd both embrace what was coming next with open arms. Here's to us, Derek. To us. His heavy arm wrapped around your shoulders, he curled it in, bringing you closer towards him. Then his lips were on your cheek. You kissed him back. Derek pulled away for a moment, intending to once again plant a kiss on the side of your face, but you turned your face to catch his lips instead. He liked that one. Derek leaned into you and rubbed your back lovingly. It was lovely and precious and much too short. Hey, your parents told me the story of how they got together. Oh yeah, the lunchroom showdown. Pretty funny, huh? My dad told me he loved to remind the rest of the team how 𝐈𝐬𝐬𝐬 may not like footballers, but she did like him. That is good, but it doesn't beat your marriage pact. It's the height of romantic hijinks. Ah, thanks. You know, if I ever have a team again, I'll be sure to tell them how May liked me before I made it. Or I can tell my future coworkers, whoever. Wow, thank you. You and your darling boyfriend exchanged more sweet smooches, cuddly and adoring, to a degree that would certainly be embarrassing to outsiders if there were any around. Then a swooping sound snatched your attention away from Derek. The sliding door had been opened. The youngest son skipped in, as if invited, and the middle child followed after. George was less cheeky, but equally unrepentant. Hi, Derek. Hi, May. Hello. What's going on? Derek flung his head back in a groan. He let go of you with all the begrudging frustration of a teen boy caught canoodling under the bleachers by the teacher. Not again. Every damn time. There's no privacy anywhere, even in my own house. Hey. Nicholas handled the childish display of unearned airs of maturity. His poise was tall, and he cut an accusing finger through the air. You're the one who invited us over. If you wanted to be alone with May, why did you throw a party with several other people? That was a strong point. Worse still for Derek. George had an even better one. Honestly confused by his big brother's reaction, he plainly stated a key consideration. This whole side of the apartment is glass. We could see everything happening without opening the door. Coming over feels more polite to me than watching from the inside. Oh my god. At that point, Derek snorted a laugh. He was less ashamed of what you were doing than Nicholas was for interrupting it. Fine, it made sense to get together one more time before she left, but I'm regretting being so reasonable now. One of these days, we might learn to be more self-centered, and then you'll be sorry. I kind of doubt that. The part of you ever being selfish, not us being sorry over it. Yeah, sorry bro, that's not happening. No, I'm with Derek. Party's over. Everyone go home. You tease. Now that sounds like a plan. No. We're sorry, Derek and May. But that couldn't be the end of it. Trouble came in threes. Your own sibling appeared from behind. She leaned against the door, leering at the scene. Romancing out in the open while all your siblings and parents were right there. I had no idea the two of you were so indulgent. Oh my god. One rotten apple spoiled the rest. Nicholas and George had originally barged in with the pure intention of being with you. Now they were snickering over religious jabs at your and Derek's expense. I'm a bad influence on him. I think it's a good kind of bad influence. Of course it's happened. Why expect anything else? That's what Derek's wirily lifted brow seemed to express. You know, we were just talking about how self-absorbed I am and how it's not enough in my opinion. From even further in the house, Mrs. Suarez waved a hand popped up over your sister's head. It is okay, we're fine on our own. Enjoy your time together. Your parents were bursting with laughter, ineffectively trying to model that staying quiet would have been less obtrusive than joining the situation. Oh, really? Dad! Your trouble estimates were proven to be highly underestimated. It didn't come in 3. It came in as many amounts as physically possible. Mrs. Suarez came to get her husband, clearing a path through Liz, George, and Nicholas. Excuse us. She escorted him back to the couch without fuss, but no amount of cordialness on her end could smooth out this three-ring circus. Derek barely saw the retreating forms of his abashed parents, or your mom's and Mr. Holden's giggling fit in the distance, or even the set of siblings watching and waiting for what would happen next. His arms were folded and his brain was working. You and he had become the center of the universe, and that wouldn't do. In the end, Mr. Reliable went for his oldest, most reliable solution to awkward situations. Hey, look over there. I what? While the others were clearly distracted by Derek's fantastic ploy, said mastermind slid nearer to you and whispered intently, "Run." You nodded imperceptibly to everyone but Derek, whose focus was set entirely on seeing that gesture. You both knew what had to be done. Your hand found his and his yours without tearing your eyes from the target and escape route. Out the front! You dashed through the opening left by Mrs. Suarez, speeding by Liz before she could block the way again. The elders were shocked, the younger ones were shouting, but you didn't stop. Through the gap in the sliding door, past the couches and out the apartment's entrance, you and Derek ditched the whole party in a blink. Together you flew down the stairs. There was no patience to wait for an elevator. Once on the ground level, you exploded through the last set of doors in your path and onto the sidewalk, leaving laughter and joy in your wake. You may have escaped the building, but who knew if they followed you out? That wasn't something you put past your siblings. The hand gripping yours still held tight. Derek encouraged you along, beaming wide. Let's go. Oh, it's a CG. Let's go, you jokingly mimicked. Friends, lovers, partners in crime, formerly conditional fiancés. No matter the circumstances, you and Derek were always a team, and together you were unstoppable. Oh. In Derek's bright eyes, you saw reflections of your past. That first day you met him when he bounded up to you so unafraid, the first time he'd much less bravely bolted from a very cross Elizabeth. Your grand exit from a different party one you hadn't been invited to. And the moment you arrived in the Prism City bus station such a short and long time ago, when he'd come running for you. Each happy moment you experienced became only a memory of what used to be, but that's where life was, and it was okay. Right then, you were running side by side. You wouldn't take it for granted. You wouldn't waste the chance. Instead, you would keep going for as long as your feet could carry you. As it should be, you and Derek took another step forward, and then another, forward and forward and forward, down the glistening city street and towards the rest of your lives. No! Thank you for beginning a life here! Oh my god! You can come back again always. That's the end of Derek. The end! Oh my gosh! Wow! No! It's over, you guys. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can't believe. Oh wow. I can't believe the end is really here. Okay, well everyone. Wow, I love that. I love that little ending. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. I love this game. They have such good, like, little endings. Like, it is so good. I love Cove's. I loved Derek's. Oh my god. Well, everyone. Now that Derek DLC is over, we will be moving on to the last DLC, which is Baxter. And I am sad because oh my gosh, after that I'm not gonna have any more content to film unless you guys would like to see like a friend route or something with Cove and stuff like that. But wow, everyone. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's over. It was like this for Cove too. I couldn't believe that it was over. Maybe because I've done it for such a long time. I have no clue, but I hope you enjoyed Derek's DLC, everyone. I know I did. Let me know what you guys would like to see next, but we are for sure moving on to Baxter's DLC, and we'll probably be starting from step 2 step 2, because that's when they're teenagers. So It'll be in that moment, and we'll probably be with Cove. I don't know. Or, you know what? Maybe we might not go with anyone. Because then we might just meet him. Okay. I think I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to do. Ah, I can't wait. Okay, but yeah, everyone. I hope you enjoyed Derek's DLC. And I am so glad that I'm back. But yeah, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. And I hope you have a marvelous day. Bye.